got a mushroom and Swiss cheeseburger, and I really want to talk about Zohran Mamdani. Yeah, it's kind of delicious. First bite. Today I want to talk about Mamdani, because he's one of the few things right now actually giving me some semblance of hope in times where, while in New York City you've got Mamdani, you've got the government building concentration camps in Florida and rounding people up without due process in California. So, between those two, I need a little hope in something. So, there's been a lot of media focus on whatever negative things can be found on Mamdani right now. Specifically, the New York Times has been having a heyday with all sorts of data they obtained from a hack, which the New York Times is contributing to a neo-Nazi named Jordan Lasker. So Lasker, you probably won't know of him. He's a eugenicist, deeply involved in trying to connect the dots between race and IQ, among, whatever else. He defends a lot of, let's just say, controversial stuff online. If you want to read up more on him, I found this Guardian article that you can check out. It's an interesting read just to get a background on what sort of strange this guy is. And if you don't know what eugenics are, there's a pretty good chance that you're still a good person. So, yeah. Well, all in all, you've got racist articles being written and supplied with data based on racist motives. All of this to prove that Mamdani had checked a couple of boxes on his application, ones that he had rightfully chosen, being Ugandan and all. To me, the whole Mamdani scare, wave in the media is kind of hilarious. Maybe not funny, but it's definitely ridiculous. And to me, it's ridiculous because Mamdani represents everything that the establishment hates. Because if you want to understand that, you need to look at Andrew Cuomo, who he had beaten in the primary. So looking at Andrew Cuomo, he's a long-term Democrat who's been around the block more than a few times. And he's been involved in all levels of government since at least the 90s. So while he was running in the primary, he still had a litany of sexual harassment lawsuits against him, which, of course, he denied. But despite all that, he somehow managed to gain endorsement from those who had previously called for his resignation. So Cuomo's funding during this campaign was ridiculous. It was the most funded campaign in New York City history at over $25 million. And yeah, I used Wikipedia for this graphic I'm pulling up. It's a good table. Whatever. So, knowing Cuomo being, the guy that he is, why would the media and establishment Democrats look to smear Mamdani in the face of someone who clearly wishes to cling on to any power he has left? In order to answer that, you gotta look at Mamdani's policies. And going through all of his policies, despite everything in his platform being written and designed to help the least fortunate of us, one in particular really, really scares those with wealth in New York City. His policy is going to ensure that corporations can't keep pulling in more and more profit year after year while the least fortunate in the city continue to fall to the wayside. So those with penthouses on the skyline begin to overall pay more taxes than those working on a night shift at the local grocery store. Which, of course, corporations don't want that to happen. They want to keep raking in as much profit as they can, which is why a lot of Cuomo's funding came from super PACs and pretty big corporations. Not only that, but researching this, I came across that Billy Joel, of all people, donated to Cuomo. That's going to make listening to Piano Man a little bit harder. So, even though I'm in Indiana, I don't live in New York City, I still think it's important to look at the way they treat Mamdani and then connect that with how they treat anyone in these next 4 years who dares to think or act any different than what they demand. And knowing that and seeing how much has happened in the first 7 months of this presidency, I think it's important that we, as a people, stay informed. Pay attention to what's going on and just take care of yourself and those around you. Go to Mamdani. I hope he gets elected in November. All that being said, though, take care of yourself and much love.